Hello and welcome to episode 33 of Sokacraft. In between episodes, I got to work on the Wong Shi Tong library a little bit more and dug out a ton of the space. And in the last episode, we took care of all 4 roofs of all of the rooms of Wong Shi Tong's library. Now, our goal for this episode is to get some work done on the walls of Wong Shi Tong's library and to get the basics of the floor laid out. And that's going to use a lot of sandstone. So I'm going to grab a bunch of the sandstone that I've dug up from the ground in Wong Shi Tong's library and bring it over to the super smelter and get some smooth sandstone to get ready to get started with this build. And I didn't realize until right now that I have shaders on, so I think for fun we can just finish this episode in shaders. So to get started on this wall, I've cut this wall back, and we're going to be hiding a lot of lighting in this wall using sea lanterns. So I'll grab this into my hotbar, and where I want to put it is behind this area here. It's going to be hidden by the walls, and the walls are still going to allow the light through. So behind this wall, I'm going to have another wall, and that's going to come down like that. And for each of these sections, we're going to hide a lot of lighting in this area. So I think this goes like this. Then here, I also want to put some sea lanterns. And we'll stick the walls in here. So we're going to have a lot of sections that look like this in this area. And I'm just going to continue this going all the way around the center part of Wong Shi Tong's library. And now we have the walls of the main room complete, and using the shaders you can really see where the light's coming from. So you can see that the light is coming through all these cracks pretty well. Actually, let's get rid of these so it doesn't show it. But yeah, you can kind of, I don't know if it's going to show up on YouTube, but it looks good. Now we need to start looking at these hallway walls. So this is going to be once again in sections of 3, but it's going to be a little bit shorter. Let me see, I need to get a few things. We'll create some stairs out of this, and okay. So I believe it's gonna go like this, and then a block. And that is going to be the pattern along here. And I'm going to use this and get this measured out. And now I have this whole hallway measured out. So it's going to be in sections of 3. Then we're going to have another wall going down the center here. So we can start working on these sections. We get this in our offhand. It's going to be similar idea as before. We're going to do a bunch of squares, and in the center of them we are going to put a wall. Oops. And now we can just come in and place our walls in and our lighting blocks. And finally, we can place the rest of the walls of the hallway in. And these sandstone walls were definitely the final touch for these walls. It adds so much extra depth. Once we get all of the floors in, this is going to be looking great. But now to get started on the walls for this room, we're going to have to go figure out a solution because the super smelter ran out of fuel. So either we can go and try to grab some fuel from some of our other farms, or we can see about upgrading that bamboo farm that feeds the super smelter. You see, a few nights ago I was watching Twitch, and I was watching a guy by the name of Griffon Prime, and he showed me his design for a bamboo farm, which has a similar idea, but it condenses it down, and it goes into an infinite loop. And I'm going to go ahead, tear this out, and try to reconstruct his farm design and make it work with everything we've got going on here. Then once we come back, I'll show you how it works. And here we have the updated bamboo farm design. Once again, this farm is designed by Griffon Prime, at least he's the one I've seen it from. And basically how it works is the bamboo will grow up, be seen by the observer, and then it will activate the piston and the dispenser, applying some bone meal, and that is usually enough to grow it back up in front of the observer again, and then it creates an infinite loop. Here, let me show you it in action. I have a little switch over here to kind of start the system. And now you can see here behind me that it just goes into an infinite loop and it cranks out an absolute ton of bamboo. So this is all getting sent to the super smelter down through here and filling up the system quite nicely actually. So now that we've gone through all this, I can finally grab up a ton of that smooth sandstone and get back to work on Wong Shi Tong's library. And welcome back from that time lapse. We spent a whole bunch of time finishing up all the walls beneath Wong Shi Tong, but we also spent a lot of time making sure that all of the spaces that we opened up to when we were digging the roofs were nice and covered over, and trying to make everything look as natural as possible. This one probably looks the least natural, but I think you maybe didn't notice that this is actually right on top of where the inside of the library is, but that's kind of what I was going for in, hiding this stuff. So now if we head down inside, you can see that all of the walls are complete. As when I say complete, I mean like we have the walls in place. We still have to detail them a lot, add windows and all that fun stuff, but there's a lot of things that we need to think about this library before we continue. For example, we're going to have to get the floor in place. Obviously, the floor is very important. It's going to help us figure out where we're going to lay out all of the bookshelves. But bookshelves, that is one of the problems that we're running into today. I know I can buy a ton of bookshelves from my villagers, and I also have a bunch of leather in my piglin bartering farm. But I want to go off and see if we can make another farm in today's episode, and I want to make a hoglin farm. Hoglin farms are great sources of cooked pork chops and leather, and I'm going to need a lot of leather in order to finish this build. And when I say I have a lot of leather in the piglin bartering farm, I really do mean that we have a lot of leather. So we have about, like 2 double chests full of leather here, but that's still not going to be enough. So in order to get started on this piglin bartering farm, hoglin farm, we were just in the piglin bartering farm, come up above here, we need to fly around until we hit a crimson forest, which is right here, which is perfect. Nice and close to the hole in the bedrock, and nice and close to the other farm, so everything stays within range that we can still sort of see it. But we don't have to worry about losing it when we're flying to it away from our nether hole. So to show a quick demonstration of the mechanics that we're going to use in this hoglin farm, what you need to use is this warp fungus that I have in my hand, because these guys are scared of it and will run in the opposite direction when they face it. So I can pretty safely stand here and not worry about getting attacked by them. So now, keeping those mechanics in mind, the idea for the hoglin farm is going to be, we're going to have 2 platforms, and we're going to force the hoglins to run into the center, where there's going to be a channel of lava on top of a bunch of hoppers to pick up all the drops. So I'm going to go ahead and get this farm built up, and I'll show you around when it's done. Welcome back, and we now have a functioning hoglin farm. Well, it will be functioning once I put the last few pieces in. So we need to put in some soul torches and some warped fungus. The soul torches are going to be used for if there's any non-zombified piglin. It will scare them into the center, and then the fungus is going to be used to scare all of the other guys. So let me get some of it down. And it can only be placed on this warped nylium or crimson nylium, so you want to grab a bunch of that for at least the back row of this farm. So I just decided to build the whole thing out of it. And in order to make it more efficient, you can add more layers, but I'm not too worried about it being crazy efficient, so I've just done the 1-layer farm so far. And as you can see, this hoglin was able to skate right across here, but he will eventually fall back in there while we're scaring him back and forth like that. And we will start collecting a lot of leather and pork chops. I probably actually already have a little bit in here. Yeah, we're doing not so bad already. So I'm going to go ahead, finish getting these in place for the farm, AFK here for a bit, and see what the yield is like. And after a couple hours of AFKing, we've managed to get, I don't know, it's a fair bit of leather, but I was expecting a lot more than that. So maybe with the combined output of this hoglin farm and the use of our piglin bartering farm, we'll end up with enough leather to make all the bookshelves needed for Wong Shi Tong's library. But that's something we're going to have to look at in the next episode, because we're all out of time for this episode. So in the next episode, what I'm hoping to get done is finish the floors and get the rest of the basic structure of Wong Shi Tong's library done, and then we can do the fun things that I've had planned for the library. But if you've enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys next time. Water Tribe, out.